Hi everyone, welcome back to Zen Beautiful Art. Today we are starting a new series where we will paint 3 beautiful watercolor butterflies. In this video we will paint the very first one. I already have my watercolor paper ready and I will show you the brushes I'm using today. Normally I like to use a big mop brush for large areas and a small brush or a small Chinese watercolor brush for the finer details. The mop brush works well for big areas, while the small brush is perfect for adding details and patterns. Here is my watercolor palette. I will show you what it looks like. On the right side, I keep my warm colors, and on the left side, I have cooler blue and green tones. For sketching, I will start with a 2B pencil to draw the basic shape of the butterfly. I'm keeping it very simple, just the body and wings. First, let me take my watercolor paper. Notice how I hold the pencil near the end. This gives my wrist more flexibility so the lines stay loose and fluid. Holding the pencil further back helps me avoid pressing too hard, which keeps the sketch light and easy to erase later. It also makes the lines look more natural and less stiff, which is especially important when drawing something organic like butterfly wings. Think of it as guiding the shape rather than forcing it. Let your hand move freely, almost like you are sketching air. Once the basic shape is in place, I will position the body and wings more clearly, but still keep the lines light. This butterfly is in a very typical resting position, the kind you often see when it's sitting quietly on the flower with its wings folded. I really like using this pose because it feels calm and natural, almost as if the butterfly has just landed to take a break. From an artist's point of view, it's also easier to sketch since the wings overlap and create a simple, balanced shape. To make them look more complete, I will also add the antenna at the top of the head. They are thin and delicate, so just draw 2 gentle curves reaching upwards. Next, I will sketch the proboscis, that's the long straw-like mouth part butterflies used to sip nectar from flowers. You can keep it simple, just a light curved line pointing towards the flower. And finally, I will add the legs. Butterflies have 6 legs, but depending on the angle, you don't need to show them all in the detail. A few thin, slightly bent lines near the flower are enough to suggest that the butterfly is gently resting on it. Keep these lines light and graceful so they don't overpower the wings, which are the main focus. Then I will use a kneaded eraser to gently lighten the pencil lines. When sketching, take your time and enjoy the process. The foundation is so important in watercolor, so be patient and aim to get the shapes right. For demo purpose, I've made my outlines a little darker, but you can make yours lighter. You can also find my outline sketch in the description below, so you can paint along with me. Now the outline is finished, so the next step is to Use a kneaded eraser to gently lighten the pencil lines. I like to press or tap the eraser softly on the paper rather than rubbing because that keeps the surface of the paper clean and prevents any damage to the texture. Lightening the lines is really important in watercolor painting. If the pencil marks are too dark, they'll show through the paint and can distract from the soft, transparent look we want. Now let's add color. I will start by mixing lemon yellow with just a touch of burnt sienna to create a richer shade of yellow. For the flowers, I will mix carmine red with a cerulean blue to create a nice purple. Depending on how much red or blue you add, you can get different shades of purple. First, I will wet a butterfly with clean water using the mop brush. Make sure the water is applied evenly. This is very important for the wet-on-wet technique. If one area is wetter than another, the paint is spread unevenly and creates blotches. A good way to check is to tilt your paper slightly under the light. When the surface looks evenly shiny, it means you will add just the right amount of water. If it looks patchy or too dry in spots, just go back and gently smooth it out with a brush. Now I will gently tap lemon yellow on the wings and the body. Notice how I'm not brushing back and forth, but just touching the paper lightly and letting the color flow into the water. This way the pigment spreads softly and creates these beautiful natural gradients that watercolor is known for. Try not to overwork it. Just drop the paint in and let the water do most of blending for you. Then mix lemon yellow with a bit of a cerulean blue, so it creates a soft, vivid green in some of the shadow areas, suggesting that the butterfly isn't just one flat color, but has subtle tones blending into the yellow. To add a variation, I will mix a little bit of burnt sienna for the body and some shadow areas on the wings. The paint spreads beautifully because the paper is still very wet. With a smaller brush, I will mix burnt sienna and ultramarine to make gray. Then add some dots and patterns to the wings. Using just the tip of a brush, I will loosely paint the circular shapes and dots to mimic the natural patterns of the butterfly wings. This is why I love painting butterflies with watercolor. The wet-on-wet techniques makes the patterns look so natural and organic. Don't worry about making everything perfect. Just enjoy the process and let watercolor flow. Now I will add a few edge lines on the wings and using just the tip of my brush. Keep these strokes loose and organic. Try to avoid making them too stiff or uniform. Think of how butterfly wings really look: delicate, slightly irregular, and full of character. This step does take practice, but over time your line work will start to feel more natural and confident. And remember, even if the lines aren't perfect, they still add charm and personality to your butterfly. At this point, the basic form of the butterfly is done. I will add the legs and the antenna with the same darker mix we used for patterns. Next, let's paint flower. I will use the same wet on wet technique. First, I will wet flower shape with clean water. Be careful not to use too much, just enough to give the paper an even shine. Take a moment to make sure the surface looks evenly damp before adding any color. Then drop in a purple mixture. Watch how the pigment immediately begins to spread across a damp surface. This is the magic of watercolor. It creates soft, flowing shapes that looks natural and effortless. The paint spreads beautifully, giving the flower a dreamy, loose effect, almost like it's gently blooming on the paper. Don't try to control it too much, just let water guide the paint. This is what makes the flower look alive and organic, rather than stiff or overworked. For the petals, I will use a tip of brush to pull out a few soft strokes. Then with one quick stroke, I will paint the stem. Try to do this quickly and confidently so it looks natural. If you move too slowly, the line can look shaky or uneven, but a single fluid stroke gives the stem a more organic shape. Don't worry about making it perfectly straight. Just let your brush glide. Then you can add some strokes to fix that later. While the first layer is still wet, I will drop in some darker purple for the shadow areas. This gives the flower more depth. Don't worry about painting it realistically. The butterfly is our main subject, and the flower just supports the composition. Keep it loose and playful. To finish, I will use a clean, dry brush to lift a little paint from the flower, creating highlights and adding dimension. Finally, I will go back to the butterfly and strengthen a few details, like the proboscis, antenna, eyes, and legs. I'm careful not to overdo it. Just few thoughtful touches are enough to bring the butterfly to life. Adding these small details helps define its character and makes the painting feel more complete. Remember, subtlety is the key. Too much detail can overpower the delicate colors of the wings, so gently enhance only the areas that need it. And there we have it, a yellow butterfly resting on a purple flower. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, please give it a like and leave a comment below. It really helps support my channel grow and keeps me motivated to share more with you. Thank you so much for painting with me, and I will see you in the next watercolor tutorial.